Sagoli Swagwake. Hello everyone. Welcome to Ngwakwa, Our Foods. Today we're going to be talking about harvesting our dry beans for seed saving. We hope to have more on our foods on future videos, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and click on notifications for new uploads.
Yo, ya won't go on your day, ya won't go lodina shonia, ya won't go sojina weha, we are hinega now we are here.
There are two main times to harvest beans for eating. The first is at the snap or green bean stage. This is when the beans are still young and tender. You can eat them right off the plant in the garden or cooked in a number of different ways, like soup. The second is at the dry stage. This is when the bean pods are crispy and the bean seeds are dry and firm. If you're saving bean seeds for planting, you will want to harvest them at this dry stage. If you're hoping to have dried beans for cooking or are saving beans for seeds, you need to let the beans dry out on the vine. This can be especially difficult if you're excited and anxious to see the treasures the bean pods hold inside. If you harvest them before they start to dry out, the bean seeds will be immature and shrivel up and not be good for cooking. They will also likely not germinate. A way to be sure your beans are ready is to look at the pods. If your pods had a bright color during the summer like purple or pink or striped, their colors will have faded by now. Also, if you shake the pod or feel the pod, you should feel the bean seeds inside moving around a bit. The pods should feel almost papery. Sometimes we pick our bush beans when most of the beans are ready, but some still need to dry. One way to do this is to pull up the whole plant and hang them so they can finish drying. When your beans are all dried out, you're ready to pick them. Again, different people have different ways of doing things. We like to hand shell our beans. As I hand shell our beans, I want to share something I read while looking at some of our stories that Oneida people collected from each other starting in the 1930s. These are from the WPA stories. This recollection is from Stadler King in 1941. He described his bean harvest.
The beans should be pulled out and stacked around a pole driven in the ground. This then could be threshed any time in the fall. When I threshed beans, I used a barrel. I would put a bunch of beans in it and then take a square-pointed shovel which would hit the bottom square and keep hitting at the beans until all pods have been shelled out. Then I would take the vines and leave the beans in the bottom of the barrel. I would do this until the barrel is half full of beans. Then I would empty it into a wash tub, and I could sieve this in the wind by pouring it out from one pail to another. The wind would clean or blow all the chaff out, and only good beans would drop into the other pail. I do this once or twice, and the beans are nice and clean. Then I would pound another half barrel, and sometimes I would get a full bag in a half a day. Beans are easy to raise, and a good bag full would last you all winter.
Unlike Stadler, we don't have super large volumes of beans to deal with, and we like to inspect all the beans as they emerge from the pods. This helps us identify any beans that have potentially been cross-pollinated. When we see beans that don't look like that typical variety, we put them in a separate bowl and lovingly label them misfits. These are the first beans we eat after harvest, as we do not save them for seed because they will not be true to type. We have saved some of these beans in the past to grow them out to see what happens, but for the most part, we enjoy these beans right away. Keep in mind, some varieties naturally have an occasional bean that might be more solid in color than the other beans. Also, some beans might be lighter when you pick them, but get darker over the course of a year. Additionally, lots of beans look alike as a seed, but grow into very different plants. Most of the beans we grow are to share with others for seed. This emphasizes the importance of good record keeping and labeling. Because this is our primary goal, we are very careful about keeping records of our seeds. We track where they came from, how they grow, and most importantly, their name and their story. If you're growing foods to share for seeds, it's very important to label your seeds and to keep good track of them. When you share your seeds, it's important that whoever receives those seeds, they know exactly what to expect and they know what they are receiving. When we are done shelling all our beans, we let them sit in wooden bowls for a few weeks just to make sure they are really and truly dried out. It's important that they be stored in a space away from sun, heat, and moisture. We store ours in glass jars in our humidity-controlled basement. If there is too much heat, warmth, and moisture, your seeds could rot or start to sprout. It's also important to understand that our seeds have immense responsibilities. Bean seeds have been known to germinate after a number of years, but to make sure they are able to fulfill their responsibilities to bring forth the next generation, you should plant them within 2 to 4 years. One of my seed mentors, Jessica Greendeer, teaches us that the most dangerous place for a seed is on the shelf. They are not meant to be collector items. They are our living relatives. They are meant to be our teachers, our providers of sustenance, and our source for the next generation of plant relatives. We're still learning about our foods. People have different ways of growing and caring for our foods. We are sharing the way we learned how. One of the most amazing parts about this journey to get to know our foods better is that it is connecting us to so many people throughout the Haudenosaunee Confederacy and throughout Indian country. If you have any methods you want to share, please feel free to drop them in the comments or send us an email. Yawa, Danito.